once again, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here, the midweek edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. We have some interesting forecast challenges ahead of us as we head into the weekend, but in the meantime, what a great day once again today. Now, it was a little cooler today, but it actually was warmer than we thought it would be, and you know, it's been like this. Andrew DePaulo and I have been joking about this lately, that every time we have a sunny day, the temperature just wants to overachieve some. We had a forecast high of 37 today. It got to 41 at the airport at 2:12 p.m. after that cold and frosty start at 25 this morning. Actually, 25 is pretty typical. Early morning low for this time of the year. We had 63 on this date back in 2015. All right, after a bright and sunny afternoon, just a few wispy cirrus clouds filtering in from the north and west. Now, while we do have some of these filtering overhead, I don't think it'll be enough to cause many issues for visibility tonight of our meteor showers. The Geminid meteor shower, which peaks tonight. This is traditionally the best meteor shower of the year with the most meteors visible. It's always too bad that, of course, it is in December instead of the middle of summer, so it's a cold one. You have to bundle up to check this one out. Now, the true peak is probably later at night, after midnight, but if you want to head out this evening and check it out, you'll probably have success seeing at least a couple, especially if you're in a dark spot. But at the peak of things overnight tonight, if your area is nice and dark, you're away from light pollution, you might see one or even two per minute, making the rate up to 60 or more per hour in those really good conditions. Other viewing tips for the meteor shower tonight. A lot of questions. Where do I look? The question is no particular direction. Yes, the meteors emanate from what's called the radiant, and that's technically where they're emanating from, but you don't really have to look there. You can look just up. You're going to spot them if it's dark enough, and you just be patient. Allow your eyes time to adjust. Find a dark spot, of course. Put your phone away, because every time you look down at your phone, which is illuminated, that's going to mess up your vision a little bit. It'll cause kind of a delay in terms of how long your eyes will take to adjust to the darkness and your ability to see the most meteors. Mentioned later is better. Now, that radiant, where the meteors are coming from, gets higher in the sky as the night moves on. So we won't waste a lot of meteors, if you will, being close to the horizon. They'll be higher up in the sky the later in the night you get. But again, if you want to check this out at a reasonable hour this evening, give it a shot. You'll probably have some success, again, if it's dark enough in your location. All right, December so far, we're almost halfway through the month. It's been a fairly dry month locally. We're not quite at half of our typical precipitation through today's date. It's been wetter a few hours to our east. The I-95 corridor from Boston to New York City to Philadelphia to D.C., all the way down towards Raleigh. It's been pretty wet so far in December, but this map does not look like a typical December map in an El Nino. In an El Nino, you'd expect more wet weather down here. This dry stretch through here is sort of typical of El Nino in the winter season, but been a little drier than average in parts of the south, which typically is pretty wet as you head into the winter season in El Nino. That now, again, there's lots of winter left, so those folks who really need the rain down there, I'm sure will get quite a bit more with an upcoming probably pattern shift after the first of the year. We'll talk about the longer range in a moment. In the meantime, high pressure rules the roost for the next couple of days. Hardly a cloud in the sky for most of Thursday and all of Friday. What a gorgeous Friday. I mean, mid-50s in some spots. Wall-to-wall sunshine, just a fantastic December day Friday. Now, as we head into the weekend, this is when things get a little more challenging from a forecasting standpoint. Now, Saturday's still a dry day, but there'll be some fair weather clouds starting to mix in. It's still going to be mild, especially if you see appreciable, holes in the clouds over your location. You'll probably see the lower and middle 50s without much of a problem Saturday afternoon. But this system out here is going to kind of try to join forces with a system that's just off screen over the southern U.S., and will try to clip us or graze us with some rain before the weekend is through. One way to look at this is a few of our medium-range computer models' rain forecasts for the next week. The red line is the GFS, and I'll show you this on a map view in just a second. But you'll notice the GFS really cranks up the precipitation totals here by Sunday and into early next week, advertising an inch or so worth of rain. The GFS Ensemble and the European model, which is the purple model down here, are not as gung-ho on the rain. Let's do like we did last evening and check out a model comparison here. Now, these aren't the only two models in the world. They're two of our major, medium-range models, the European over here and the GFS over here. Now, we look at a lot more than this, but for simplicity's sake, we'll show you the comparison for these two as we head into the weekend. And we're going to zoom forward to Sunday afternoon. Now, here's what the models are showing. The European has our low down here near Charleston, The GFS closer to Hilton Head. That's not a huge distance as the crow flies, but it's important. Thank goodness this isn't a winter storm. We'd be really gnashing some teeth over this. There's just not enough cold air, certainly, for a winter storm. But this is going to be a bona fide nor'easter, despite the lack of snow. But the placement of that low is important for our weather by Sunday in northeast Ohio and western PA. Taken literally, the European has that northern stream feature diving to the south and taking most of the rain down and feeding it into the more prominent or well-developed system near Charleston, South Carolina. The GFS doesn't have as strong of a northern stream feature. It has this low a little farther to the west, and it stays farther to the west as we advance this animation. And that's why the GFS has so much more rain than the European and some of the other modeling does. Here's a look at Sunday night. European keeps the lion's share of the rain to our east. The GFS has, a fair amount of rain getting into eastern Ohio and western PA. So again, bottom line for the weekend, I do think that Saturday is going to be a dry day either way. We're going to keep the chance for rain in our Sunday forecast. In fact, we bumped up the chance in our ongoing forecasts for Sunday. But it's no guarantee that it's going to rain. It may just graze us just barely to the east. It's a really close shave. And again, thank goodness this is not a snow situation, because it would be a nightmare of a forecast, that is for sure. Before we leave you this evening, let's talk about the longer range. Boy, hard to find much of a pattern change here as we go through time. This is a look at the medium and long range European model temperature anomalies. And we're going to fast forward through the week before Christmas. There's a little cold shot behind our Sunday and Monday system. A little brief cold shot, nothing crazy though, cold, just back to normal for a couple of days. But then all the oranges and reds, the above normal temperatures, take hold again. And this is right here, Christmas morning. Wow. Cold air compared to average, maybe in the southwestern U.S., that's about it. Look at these anomalies up over Canada. Basically what we have going on is we have a semi-permanent area of low pressure in the Gulf of Alaska and up towards the Bering Strait, western Alaska in other words, and the cyclonic flow around that low is just feeding Pacific air right into the U.S. There's also, and I'm not going to show this graphically, but there's a screaming jet stream across the central Pacific that is just like a fire hose directing that Pacific, in other words, not Arctic air, into North America. And there's just no connection to the Arctic. All the cold air is on the other side of the pole. Cold, Northern Europe, and parts of Asia, including China, Russia, places like that. But it's all over there on that side of the pole. And as long as it's over there, it's not here. And, this European model takes us all the way out through the 28th. There's just not much of a pattern change. It looks like it's coming probably through the end of the year. Do I think this pattern changes after the first of the year? I do. Is it right after the first of the year, right at the first of the year, or is it later in January? I'm not real confident about that. But this pattern, this blowtorch in December, is not going to continue forever. And I still am bullish on a backloaded winter with plenty of opportunities for cold and snow. All right, that's it for Weather Geeks on this Wednesday evening. Actually, this is probably the last Weather Geeks of the year. I say that because I have some time off starting tomorrow. Now, I work a couple of Fridays next week and the following week. If the weather's pretty quiet and non-impactful, we won't do Weather Geeks those days. But if we do have some interesting weather to talk about, we'll hop on and do a video for sure on those Fridays. But other than that, I'm kind of, out of the loop, if you will. In other words, away from work most of the time from tomorrow through the end of the year. So thanks for watching Weather Geeks today, this week, all year long. Really appreciate your viewership. Hope you and yours have a great Christmas and New Year's and a holiday season overall. And if I don't see you back here on Weather Geeks until January the 2nd, again, have a great rest of December. I'll see you in 2024.